Welcome to another edition of the New Watchers on the Wall. Incredibly excited to be speaking to you all today about what, Candace?
The movie Sinners by Ryan Coogler, written and directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan.
And Michael B. Jordan, and Michael B. Jordan, and Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, Michael C. Jordan.
I know, right?
The only pair of Jordans anybody needs.
Exactly. He got down like crazy. But before we get started, want to go ahead and, of course, Doc is on with us. Want to show him some love. He said, "I heard it was a great movie."
Should I push the button?
Which button? That's the wrong button. But it's not. What are you trying to do exactly?
Just pushed the wrong button.
Yeah.
Make the sound effects.
Yeah, we ain't doing sound effects today because we never do it right whenever we click them.
Yeah.
But Doc is definitely a good movie. Let's hop.
Oh, we're gonna spoil it for you, Doc.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Oh man, what did he say? He said, "Hi everyone, hi fam," and he said, "No worries." But this is the thing, though. I feel like even if we discuss it, it's still a movie that you want to see yourself because you're gonna
visually,
from a visual perspective, and then all the things that they discuss in the film. I still think that you're gonna enjoy it heavily.
Definitely, it brought out Patrick's inner film nerd.
Yes. But our guest with us, Dr. Carter, say what's up to the people.
Mute.
Dr. Carter, I think you're muted. Margot, say what's up to the people.
What's up? What's up? Glad to see everybody again. It's been a while.
Yes. And then LA and OSHA, go ahead and say what's up to the people.
So what's up?
Hey.
This time I got OSHA with me, man. She's a fellow. She's just as big into the movies as I am.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about this? Let's just start off with everybody sharing their favorite moment. And the thing I like about this panel, Candace is from Mississippi. Brother Carter's got some interesting perspective because he's grown up in the South. My family's from the South, but I don't know a whole lot about the South because my grandmother moved to Cali. But let's start off with maybe your favorite or standout moment for the film. And we'll let our guest start first.
Which one?
I'll start.
Dr. Carter, I think your mic is acting up.
We could hear him earlier. That's crazy. You're not muted, are you, Carter? But while he's figuring that out, how about who wants to go first? Margaret, you want to go for it?
Oh, there we go, Dr. Carter. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. We hear you, Carter.
Okay.
All right. So, Margot, you want to start us off?
Oh gosh, my standout moment. I feel like there's so many. I would say the most shocking moment that I did not expect was when little Sammy was playing the guitar in the juke joint and he literally opened up a portal in between time and space to bring the spirits of the past and the future all together on this plane that we're on right now. I thought that was crazy. I would have never expected watching a 1932 movie to see, somebody twerking it over here, and then you got the cultural Asian dance over there, and then once I saw that electric guitar, I was like, wait, hold on, they got electric guitar in 1932. I was actually confused for a second. So I thought that was really cool, kind of how he basically was he just opened up that portal in between time and space to bring everybody together through music. I thought that was the craziest thing.
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
Yeah,
that was my favorite part.
I think that's a standout moment of the movie.
Yeah,
across the board.
Yeah.
All right, LA and OSHA, want to go?
Yeah, you have a favorite part aside from that one?
I do not. I just like the banter.
She likes the banter between who? Everyone?
Stack and whoever he talked to.
Okay.
And then your mama said that was such a beautiful scene. Carter, what was the standout scene for you?
Well, I have to agree with the intersecting of past.
We could barely hear you, Carter. Can you talk a little bit louder or turn your volume up?
I think it's the past, present, and future.
Mhm.
How they intersected all of those connections between our ancestors, what they were going through, and bringing it to the future really lets us know that we are all just a continuation of that which comes before us. And I like how he tied that together.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Let me see what. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, La.
I just want to say one of my favorite parts. It really wasn't a part. It was just kind of the adherence to the lore of vampires not being able to come in without being asked, without being given permission. There are several movies, vampire movies, that I love, and I love when they stick to that. Movie like Fright Night, literally the movie Let Me In, whether it's the French one or the American version, is just awesome. Just when you have the almighty and all powerful vampires just stopped by the inability to come in if they're not welcomed in.
You know what it reminded me of? And it wasn't vampires. It reminded me of Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight.
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of.
Really?
Yeah, the one with Jada Pinkett in it
Yeah.
and Billy Zane. That was like a really good movie. I'll go ahead and say my favorite part. My favorite part was the same as Margot's, but just it's not just because the whole movie was my favorite part, to be perfectly honest. And the main reason why is because everything that they were showing on the movie was so familiar to me. Because I've grown up hearing and seeing the Mississippi Chinese. I grew up with I don't know if you guys recognize it while they were in the town, but the tamales, the Mississippi tamales. I grew up hearing about juke joints. I grew up seeing people like have people call it different things, grigris, or in Mississippi it's called a titty bag, which is like the bag she Annie kept on her. I mean, I saw it was almost like I was watching my family members like on like a home video, or like not even a home video, but like I was just watching. It's like I can feel and see their lives through this movie, almost just from all the stories that I heard from my grandmother, my great grandmother when she was alive, and my mom, and her kin, and I mean just so many things that I saw was and it almost was kind of cool because I felt like, normally growing up I was kind of ashamed to be from Mississippi because people always, I mean, Mississippi, it's called the trap door to hell. That's what me and me and my sisters call it. And it was kind of embarrassing because it's just like Mississippi was like the worst place that slavery was, and da, 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 da. But as I get older, I understand that there's so much history behind it, so many reasons why I do the things that I do, think how I think, some of the superstitions that Patrick can't stand, some of the, the hoodoo things that I do around my house. It's just because it's just from there and it's part of me. And so now it's just like I'm glad somebody is putting a spotlight on not just Mississippi, but that
See the
area,
comment? Yeah.
that area of Mississippi where my people are from. So.
Nice.
And then you want to read the comment?
Oh, your mama says the whole 100%, the whole movie was familiar. My mom's people were from Natchez, Mississippi. Yeah, so even the beginning with the Choctaw coming up, I was just like, they brought up the Choctaw. Oh my God!
I would love to have seen more of them.
And then the Irish. Well, no, because I understand that, but people have to realize that they were gone by that time. The Trail of Tears have already happened. They're gone by that time. So I think Ryan Coogler just threw that in there just to like, hey, this section before the Trail of Tears, this is Choctaw country. Like this, I think that's why he did it. But yeah, I was just like, oh my God. He told them people once. He's like, okay. And he deuced out. He was like, all right, we've been telling y'all stuff for hundreds of years and y'all still don't listen. But okay, we out. Good luck. Godspeed.
Yeah. And then if you're just now joining us, we are discussing your favorite moment from the movie. If you're in the comments, leave us a comment and let us know. I'll do mine kind of quickly. I would say the thing that kind of fascinated me is Ryan Coogler is amazing at being able to create the worlds of the films that he has. When I think back to Black Panther, I think everybody felt like they were in Wakanda at some point, the way they showed the richness of the culture and just kind of showed everybody what was going on. And even in this movie Sinners, the thing that shocked me was this movie could have survived without the vampire shit. Like, to me, the movie was so good that like they could have just went on with the interesting things that that Michael B. Jordan had going on. They could have went on with the interesting things of just kind of like the community and society. And the vampires is almost like icing on top of the cake because the cinematography, the way he just did things, I just thought it was overall incredibly interesting. He always does really good work when it comes to that. Now, there was a lot of different superstitions and things like that that were brought up in the film. And Carter, we were talking a little bit earlier about like not being let in or something like that. Yeah, let's talk about the superstitions that they kind of had, because I thought that those, when we left the theater, Jameson was like, that kind of reminded me of From, because you have to let the monsters in, right? Like if you let them in, now they can come in. But if you have the townsmen up, they can't come in. And I thought that was an interesting connection that Jameson made with the film. But there was a lot of like you were saying, folklore, and a lot of what was the term I used? Traditions and like things like that, like how you
Yeah.
always be like, don't sweep my feet. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Or you were talking about how like back in the day
Don't split
people
the
would leave
pole.
brooms at the door or not having a welcome mat.
Uh-huh.
So Carter, we were talking a little bit about some of those traditions. Did y'all catch any of those things, or are you familiar with any of those things being like from the South?
Well, I think I think he stayed more with the vampire
I don't
canon
understand
than
why
he
he's
did with Southern superstition and bringing some of the African traditions in there, other than the juju bag that she had around her neck and some of the things that she did in regards to conjuring up protection and bringing in a little bit of that traditional, what they would call in Western society, voodoo religion, which is nothing but African tradition, this religion. They did very well in showing that connection, but he stayed more on the vampire canon tradition with the garlic, with the holy water, with the not being able to
The
come in this
stakes.
place
The
unless
wooden
you
stakes, yeah.
provided the stakes. And I think that was very good because in this revisionist time of vampire movies, you got daywalkers and all these other things that people have incorporated into
Right.
vampire universe that's
Yeah.
not traditional. And so
And
I'm
I
glad he
think that's
stuck
good.
with the
Yeah.
tradition vampire canon.
Because you need limits to create a richer story. I feel like it creates difficulty, and you need that in storytelling.
Yeah,
Hey, I found it interesting that this was the time period. It was a period piece, right? In that
yeah,
particular period, what was it, 1932? Was that
Hmm.
1932? Prohibition was coming to an
Yeah.
end, but it was in full effect. Full effect, but nobody mentioned it throughout the movie. I just thought that was curious.
Mm.
I wonder why.
Yeah, because they
They
were
were
in
open-
Chicago.
I mean, yeah, but they were opening a juke joint, and they was the
They could have been responsible for the Saint Valentine massacre.
who knows? They clearly didn't apologize.
Um, while we're talking about it, let's talk about the characters in the movie and what were you guys' favorite character? What characters stood out to you the most? And I know the twins are were except I mean Michael B. Jordan, he did that. He was in his acting bag when he did that. But what were your favorite characters in this film and why?
or favorite character moment.
Or moment, yeah, or yeah.
Well, the main character, Preacher Boy. This was his first. This was like his acting debut. This
I
is his
don't even
first
know who that is.
Preacher Boy, the one who playing
Was
the Blues
Well,
Little
Brothers.
yeah, I
Sammy
didn't. Is he like a famous singer or rapper
He's
from
featured
the
in
nobody.
the
I mean,
TV
not nobody.
show.
He's not nobody, but no, he's not.
Oh, okay. I thought he was like.
No, this is like his breakout role, so to
Oh,
Yeah,
speak.
okay.
yeah, yeah.
He's
So
got a beautiful voice.
he did damn good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he had a bright future ahead of him for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That first scene where he's just like driving, he was like, "Oh, he looked real hard and put away wet boy." That night told him up. He was like, "God, dog." He opened
Oh
that
yeah,
church and he was like,
yeah.
"Oh."
Opening scene, he's like, "Come on in, son."
Did you have a favorite character?
One
Oh, besides
one of
Michael
the
B. Jordan,
things
the pair of Jordans.
that I like was Delroy's character is because he did a little bit of something in this movie. Cougar did a little bit of something of connecting this movie with Interview with the Vampire. Delroy said something that went over a lot of people's head, but because I'm such an interview with a vampire fan, he said, I met this light-skinned vampire one time. And he was making a reference to the interview with the vampire TV series, because on that series there was a blues singer
Dr.
that met
Carter,
with the
I thought I was the only person who thought that. Oh my god.
I didn't even hear him
so,
say that.
Oh my
so
god.
he, it was, he showed how Delroy's
Somebody caught
character
that.
actually met the black vampire in the TV series interview with
He
the
met
black
Louis.
interview with
They
the
point
vampire.
to lack.
That's
Louis
awesome.
the
I did-
He-
I didn't
that's
know.
I mean, I thought I was the only person who noticed that. And I was like, hey, I can't point to anybody in here and be like, this. It's a crossover. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
dope.
Anybody else got a
Oh
favorite
yeah,
character moment?
before
A
I
moment?
go.
Favorite character? I mean, or
Favorite
favorite
character.
character?
Okay, I know, I remember where I know Little Sammy from. I'm like, I know I've heard him before. He used to tour with a lot of gospel singers, so I would go to a lot of gospel concerts. So I'm like, I know I've heard his voice before. That's why I'm like, was he on a show or something? But yeah, he used to tour with like Fred Hammond and like some other gospel singers, like when he was younger, as well as like Bishop T.D. Jakes and stuff like that. So that's why I'm like, okay, I know him from somewhere, but this is like his first like big movie kind of in the secular world away from Christianity religion. Yeah.
Right. And he still was in the church. Still ended up in the church.
Yeah. Which is also something we should talk about, because that is one superstition that they did play into, especially in the 1930s. I know of it more popular with like Aretha Franklin and like Sam Cooke in the 60s, but a lot of these like blues, like not necessarily blues, but like, soulful singers who are known for their secular influence started out in church. And so in the beginning of the movie, when his dad is like, oh, the devil's going to get you and da-da-da-da, that's also a superstition that they played off of when it comes to the church and talent and taking it outside of the church.
Because didn't his dad tell him, you with that guitar, you're going to call the devil and he's going to meet you or something like that?
Right, which now we know later on in the movie, his older brother, that was his older brother's guitar. And we heard the twins talk about how everybody just automatically assumed they were evil because their dad was evil. So, as the younger brother and the pastor, the preacher, he can kind of see his son going on this route in his mind, so to speak.
Yeah, and Smoke didn't want him doing that. He told him, this is going to be the last time you're going to play in this juke joint, and if I see you again, I'm going to shoot you myself.
Right.
Like, and by that time, that character, I was like, oh, he's serious. Like, he's not, he's not playing with this dude.
Right.
One of my favorite scenes was when they picked up Delroy, right? And they were passing the convicts. And so at this point, we've got like this whole he's introducing convict leasing, right? And so Delroy is telling the story about how he knew those people in the chain gang and how he was in Parchment Prison and what he was in there for vagrancy. And him and his friend end up going on the road and doing an act with singing and dancing, and they got paid, and telling the story about what happened to his friend. I don't want to spoil it, but like you can hear it happening while he's telling the story. And I just thought that added such a beautiful, horrific, heart-wrenching I mean, it just added so much to the scene, because it's one thing just to see his Lindo is a great actor, just to see his face while he's telling the story and the pain, but hearing it. And I think that's a good way that Ryan Coogler did something to where you don't have to see the trauma to understand what is happening, but you can hear it. I don't think you should always have to see something like that happen. You don't always have to see a lynching. You don't always, but if you tell the story and you add that extra layer of hearing it in the sound, not the sound quality, I don't know what it's called, but in the sound, in the background sound, you know what's happening. And it creates a visceral reaction in you. And then after that, he just starts singing.
Right.
So that he's trying to disconnect from that trauma and that pain, and And that's, you know, I
Speaking
mean,
of
that's my
Not
favorite.
even just disconnect, but figure out how to get through it. I mean, if
Right.
you look at our history as Black people, the stuff that was done to us, the only thing we could control was our singing, was our
Mhm.
voice. And then we had to use that to talk in code to each
Right.
other down the river and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. So he's tapping into those, roots that he saw probably his older generation doing.
Yeah.
So
And even just finding joy.
It kind of reminds me real. I saw an Instagram post where they were like, Black people and Black culture make poverty and struggle seem so cool. And that's one of the things that people of color have always been able to do, is to make the best out of anything. Eating chitlins, eating the oxtail. Now it's a delicacy. You know, all of the way we dress, our vernacular, our talk, all these
Our
different things,
music.
our music, right? And even how some of our initial musics started country, started blues, you know,
Started rock.
started
And
rock, all these different things. And your mama said so many great scenes in the car, that and when Preacher Boy first sang, that was great
oh
too.
yeah.
And
Oh
then
And
yeah.
one of my go ahead, Margot.
I was gonna say, but that's exactly why he used a vampire as the metaphor. Because you have these people that see us and they see the results of our struggle without understanding what the struggle actually is, and they want to be a part of what we're sowing without understanding what our ancestors had to reap. And so they're like, oh, I want it for myself. Suck the blood, suck the blood, suck the blood, suck the blood. That's why he used a vampire. That's why it's a great
Mhm.
metaphor in this entire movie, because you're kind of, you see it and you're like, oh, you're attracted to it, you want it, da 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 da. It's the same thing where you see a whole bunch of people that are successful, right? And you're like, oh, I want that, I want that. But you don't understand what they did in the dark and what they got through in the dark to be able to see that success when they're shining right now. So that's why I think the vampire is a perfect metaphor for what he used in the movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then
Pat,
like one of my and because I'm gonna come to you with this one, Carter. um when they showed how the town was divided, right? It was so funny to me when one of the brothers was like, we need to sign now, and then she was like, go get your mom. And I
Gary.
thought the mom was going to be in the back of the shop or something like that. Walked across the street to the other shop, where I guess that's where only the Caucasian people could shop at. But it brings me back to when they were in the juke joint, and one of the guys wanted to pay with that
Wooden
wood nickel.
nickel.
And Carter and I were talking right before we got on, and we were talking about that wood nickel. And there was a reason why they gave certain people those wood nickels instead of actual cash. Brother Carter, talk about that a little bit.
well, the wood nickel was tied into the sharecropping area after slavery. There used to be an expression that people in the South used to use all the time. And I remember my grandfather saying this
Don't take
when they used to
wooden-
say, "Don't take a wooden nickel." And the reason is that when they were sharecropping, instead of paying them real money, they would give them the wooden nickels that they could only use at the general store. And that would inhibit them from accumulating black wealth, because they really wanted them to stay in the South and not migrate to the North and not have any wealth. So they wouldn't give them actual money where they could go out and buy land of their own. They were only compensated in those wooden nickels. And so when the expression came about, in the South, is don't take a wooden nickel, mean don't only take cash for your labor. And so I'm glad he incorporated that in there, because there was a lot of black wealth that was lost with black people only being paid in those wooden nickels and only being able to use that in certain places. And they modified that in the South even up into the 1990s, where there's a lot of textile mills that were in Alabama, Mississippi, where people would have to buy from the meal store
Uh-huh.
their clothing for the workplace, and the money was taken out of their paycheck, which was another example of using that wooden nickel system to keep people indebted to the place that they work. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that he brought that up in regards to the wooden nickel, and how it tied into inhibiting black wealth in America.
I like that a lot, because when you were saying that, that was something I didn't catch that. I knew that there had to be a reason why they gave it to him. But when you think about it from that financial perspective, and it was a way to, even though you're free, even though you're getting paid, it's not the real money. It's still a way to oppress you in some form or fashion. Brother Carter, see if you could go into your settings, and there should be a button, like a mic button. Turn your mic up as loud as you can turn it, maybe, because some people, I love what you're saying, and some people say your audio is still kind of low.
Your
And-
mama said the original Rush cards. You mean Russell Simmons?
Russ Simmons.
Wow. The original Rush cards. Oh my gosh.
And then, audience, if you have any questions, if you're watching it, or leave a comment below if you have a question, or is there something you want us to discuss about the film.
Let's talk about the vampires.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it.
I wanted to talk real quick about how Candace was talking about the things that were unseen. And I like how it was going to segue right into the vampires. I like the way a lot of them were attacked off screen, and then you kind of just, you didn't have to see every single attack, and it was still just as impactful. Margot,
No, that was the scary part for me. I had to walk out on that part, like, because when he was like, "Everybody go home," and I was like, "Oh God, okay." And then next thing you know, like the Irish demon singing his thing, and they all in a circle. I'm like, okay, I had to walk out. I'm like, this is getting a little too demonic. Let me walk out real quick. This is a lot for me.
I like the tension. I like the tension in those scenes where, like, the white girl is going to get back in. They're going to let her back in.
Right.
And what was funny was Ryan Coogler. I was watching a podcast. He was saying that he got the idea for, like, their eyes, like how they all had like that weird glistening in the eye, whether it was red or whatever. I think he said he got it from a cartoon, like from anime. And he was saying that one of the things he really wanted was for them to have like almost a real true demonic nature. He said it was something about like the way the eyes that looked in that anime that he wanted to incorporate in this film. And then this is the Motivational Misfit said, I wish they incorporated the Native American vampire hunters into the final fight. It seemed like a miss. This is what I think, Motivational Misfit. I heard that some people saying that he wants to take this further, and I felt like maybe that was a way. So if there is a second one, now you can maybe incorporate them more and talk about like why they were the people that were actually hunting these things, because I was wondering that too. I was like, why the Native Americans hunting them, right? Because our main characters that we saw, they didn't even know the vampires existed. It was the Native Americans who knew. So maybe that's why he didn't give it to us all, because if he does decide to, push it forward, because he did give us those after credit scenes, and he didn't do that for no reason.
But remember, Mary said that she's was familiar, but she's never seen one. She knew they existed and how it works, but she's never witnessed one before, like another haint or something that you would see at night or something like that. But she mentioned that, even in the beginning of the movie, they were talking about how all these different cultures have a name or a story about vampires, right? And you have them with all three, well, not three groups that were represented, the African American, the Native American, and the Irish. They all have legends of vampirism.
So it griot? I thought I heard him say griot at the beginning. I thought it was because that's not a vampire. Just a griot is like an orator, just passing down stories from mouth by mouth.
Right. So
yeah. But I think because, like you said, Candace, with the time period that he chose, they were already gone. And even like the Ku Klux Klan couple, they were like, "You sure wasn't no light skinned niggas?" Like, like all the Indians are already gone. So maybe if he does a second one, it could be a prequel. And I know, like, for this one, they did a lot of research. Like, every single actor did their own research. Like, the white girl did research. She's like an eighth black. She was like, I had to talk to my grandfather because he the person who played Cornbread, his family is from Mississippi. His dad was a sharecropper, and so was his grandfather. And then Ryan Coogler, family's from Mississippi as well. So everybody did their homework on this. So I'm wondering, maybe if they do another one, like a prequel, they can start to try to find some Native Americans who are out west now, who have history of during that time, and starting to get kind of their story a little bit.
Right. And even Grace, I forgot my train of thought. Um,
While you're thinking about it, let me just get your mama's comment in and keep thinking about it. She
um,
said, "Girl, yes, I was calling Jesus all throughout that demonic river dance."
Yeah, I had to leave. I was like, babe, I was with my husband. I was like, babe,
It
I'm
was
going.
creepy.
I'm going. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want what's on that screen to jump on me. I'm
Uh,
very sensitive in my energy right now. I had to go.
yeah, it was definitely creepy.
I forgot what I was gonna say about Grace. Dang it, I forgot. Anyway, I'm gonna
Doing research,
the whole.
Grace. Did she do research for her role?
Oh right, a lot of people did not know that there were a lot of Chinese migrant workers in Mississippi. You have in the Delta, in that specific region of Mississippi, the Delta, and they acted pretty much, even when you were talking about the store, her going back and forth from the store, they acted as a bridge between black people and white people. The Chinese at the time were the only people who owned businesses that would um, give credit to African Americans. And so I'm glad he showed that. Like, I mean, people are like, where did that character come from? I'm like, there's been Chinese people in Mississippi for 100 years. Like, that's the thing. And I'm sure I don't think a lot of Chinese people know that. So she had to do the character who played Grace had to do a lot of research on that as well, even just picking up the accent, because trust me, Chinese in the Delta, Mississippi, they got that strong Mississippi accent. And it'll throw you, if you don't know better, it'll throw you off when you hear it. But they have a strong Mississippi accent. So just to work with the characters who played Grace and Bo and trying to get those accents right, because the Mississippi accent is very, very particular. So I mean, so even just doing that research on that and trying to get a dialect coach and trying to figure out how they would sound at that time.
Right.
But the interesting thing about that river dance portion was really interesting, that it was almost like he was trying to do what Sammy was doing inside the juke joint, and trying to conjure his ancestors, because he said in the movie, didn't he, that he was trying to see his people again. So I guess he was just trying to do that. What do you guys think? Was he trying to see his ancestors by trying to do his Irish folk dance and and conjure up his people?
What did you say about that? About him, about him trying to get the black dude so he can see his people again. Remember?
No.
It's okay, Jordan. I can't.
I just thought we was playing a guitar. He said that he wanted to use him to see his ancestors or whatever. He wanted to go back to wherever he came from.
I'm not sure how he would have done it though. So yeah, I'm not.
Because he opened up a portal.
Yeah,
So,
he was able to do that, and he saw him do that, and he thought, okay, because he really wanted Bo and he really wanted Annie. And it was interesting that those are the specific people that he wanted. He wanted Annie, and he wanted her knowledge of what she knew about the spirit realm, and he wanted Sammy because he could connect and sing and open up a portal where the ancestors can come out, and so he wanted that, and he was trying to get to his people because the Irish have been through some stuff. So
and since we're kind of talking about portals, and like, I wanted to ask you guys, what was something about the film that you would have liked to have seen be a little bit different, if there was anything, or could have improved something. But since we're kind of talking about portals, and what did you guys think about the idea of what was the Asian lady of the main character?
Grace.
What do y'all think about Grace being the one who let him in, right? Who said, come on in? Because why do y'all think it chose Grace? Because it showed her those visions of them, I guess, what they could do to her daughter or whatever. And she kind of was the one in there that broke and said, come on in, and let him in. That was one of the things that I thought was interesting. And I wondered, why did they choose her to do it?
She was the only one there with a child.
Okay.
And that right there, that's our weakness.
That was the main reason. And to me, in my head also too, the thing that, and I hate that this came up, was, Black folks were always trying to protect and save everybody, but then when it's time to protect and save us, it's like,
that's exactly what okay, that's exactly what I got from it too. Is like, I don't think it could have been a Black person that said, come on in, because the juke joint meant something to them. and they said it. The twins said, "This means something. It's our own thing. It's freedom." And then when Delroy and Lil Sammy were at the train station playing, that's the language that Stack was using. He was like, "It's for us, by us. It's gonna be our own place. We're gonna have fish. We're gonna have da 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 da. Come on, it's for us." And then when Grace and Bo had that conversation, she was like, "Baby, we here to collect a check. We were here for money at the end of the day. So go get that car and let's go to our daughter." So I think it was a deeper connection for the Black people than it was for Grace. No shade, no tea, not trying to say anything mean, but the way that he kind of lined it up and the way that the side conversations were going, it had to be Grace because she was the weakest link.
She was
When
the
you
weak-
think about it,
Yeah,
she was the
was.
weakest link because he could have said, "Little Sammy, I'm gonna go to your church and kill all the little kids at your church." He could have did that. No, he knew who he was choosing. He chose the lowest hanging fruit, the weakest link, and it was her.
And
She
he also
let her
got all that information from her husband when
and she got all the when he started speaking that Chinese, she was done.
Yeah,
I know the way you like to be. I was like, "Oh, she done. Oh,
yeah,
she done. She done."
Yeah.
It's a
Hey,
wrap.
Carter,
I don't
can
know
you
what her
meet
AK was.
your because I think it's your thing is projecting the sound a lot, Carter, and I think it's causing an echo. So maybe
It's
I don't hear the echo anymore.
for me. I'm actually I changed.
he
the
sounds a lot
audio.
better. He sound better to y'all now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Okay, you sounded good, brother Carter.
It's a little echo, but it's
think
not too
that
bad.
I think there was grace is because he wanted to show a redemption scene, in the sense that when at the end when Grace actually attacked her husband and sacrificed herself through fire, showing the length that she would go to protect her daughter. Only thing I didn't like is that they didn't show whether that daughter still had some connection like they did some of the other characters. Because I just found out about the credits recently. I left before the after credits, the post credits. And did anybody stay for the post credits?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
talking about the bar scene?
I don't think the credits really
Yeah.
lended anything to this
No.
movie, but I mean, I guess.
But I think Grace sacrifice was part redemption for her letting the vampires in there, and when she sacrificed herself through fire. I didn't really like her.
Was it a
being
sacrifice?
No, she
to
should
say
have
the
just.
vampires
They
come
should have
in.
threw her
I
ass
actually
out.
told my daughter
Yeah.
at that point they should have threw her out the door.
Yeah, I
Thank
don't even know if that
you.
was a sacrifice, Dr. Carter. That was just her comeuppance. Like she did a dumbass move and she got what she reaped what she sowed. She
Yeah,
should. What was her end game? Letting 50, I don't know how many, 50 vampires in, and like with her little Molotov cocktail and a wooden stake. What she thought she was gonna do? But you can't have a horror movie or a movie, I guess, in general, without someone doing something stupid.
Right.
Someone doing something
Somebody gotta do
stupid.
something stupid. Because everybody in the theater was like, "Come on, man!"
Same with Avengers, you know, the Star-Lord did something stupid, ruins the whole movie, you know.
Star-Lord.
And then your mama said I only saw the mid-credit scene that happened in the post-credit scene. Are we talking about the bar scene where he was an old man playing in the bar and then the vampire came in there? Is that what we're talking about?
She said she didn't see she said there should be a period there. She said she only saw the mid-credit scene. What happened in the post-credit scene?
So
the
post-credit
scene
scene.
yeah.
Go ahead.
That was the very, very last thing. It was just showing Preacher Boy playing his guitar, sitting in I want to say inside his dad's church.
That scene.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
But somebody said something very interesting on TikTok about how if you stay looking, he looks up like he's like somebody is there and he's talking. And somebody was like, what if that was the devil coming to like offer, like, I will give you this fame and fortune if you give me your soul, like aka Robert Johnson in the Crossroads, if anybody knows anything about that. The dude who Robert Johnson, who said he sold his soul to the devil so he can play real well on the guitar. And so I thought that was pretty interesting.
I mean, but that's a big one.
For time purposes, because we're almost at like 40 something minutes. Was there anybody wanted to share something that they would have like seen different in the film real quick before we jump into our overall ratings and who we would recommend the film to. Does anybody else have anything where they're like, hey, I would have maybe did that differently or anything like that? Because it was a masterpiece.
I would have liked. I mean, right now we're just it's a spotlight being shined on this particular guy, vampire. There has to be hundreds of more. There have to be so many more, right?
Yes.
I'm interested to learn about the world that they live in. When you have vampires, you might have werewolves. You might have all kind of things. Who knows what kind of supernatural beings you have.
And let me say this: the way that they were talking
Hive mind
was so deep. The vampires.
Mhm.
Oh, we're here for love, man. Oh,
Mhm.
peace and love.
Like
Being kind to one another. Oh, unity.
they tricked Otis.
And it's funny, but that's literally how the enemy be talking to some people. That's how evil that resides in people be talking. And we're like, oh, he, ha, ha, ha. Yeah, they're here for me. Next thing you know, they're a vampire ready to suck up your energy and everything else. So I think the dialogue that he chose for a vampire is also very interesting because I've seen a lot of vampire movies and they're never like, oh yeah, peace and love, like da 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 da. It's always like, yeah, I'ma kill you, or yeah, we the baddest, we the predators, da 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 da. So I thought it was real interesting the language that he used once they turned vampire, because once they turned vampire, everybody started talking like that. So it was real interesting that he chose that angle for the script for the vampires.
Otis said, I'm not even sure if he was a bad guy. I was like,
See, and
Right.
that's
because
what
he
it
said
makes
he
you
was going to
think.
kill the clan members. So
Yeah,
I
but
was like,
she drank the juice, drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
this
girl,
is
you
a
can go
film
drink
that
the
like
Kool-Aid.
they're going to be showing in film schools and everything like that. You know, when they're teaching film and stuff, because it's so layered, and that's one of the things I really appreciate with him. Your mama's comment, she said the special effects, the blood spilling were a little lacking to her.
I
Interesting.
agree. Like when he like cut his arm or whatever and it was spilling like that, I'm like, okay, that don't even look real.
I thought he was gonna blow up something or something when he did that. I didn't know he was just gonna lay
Yeah,
down and get
with
ate.
the bottle and it was just all spraying out. I'm like, okay, that don't even look real. I
Crazy.
agree with you.
And then Peter said, "All I wanted was a white devil and Preacher Boy to sing one song together." Oh,
That's a remix.
trying to take Preacher Boy out. But in the interest of time, let's all maybe talk about let's give it a what's going to be our litmus scale for this one. You know, and when we watch From, we always be like, how many townsmen would you give it, or a show? We like what's going to be our litmus?
Yeah, good start.
Steaks.
Guitars. It
Steaks
could be
or
wood
steaks,
coins,
wooden
wood
steaks.
coins, steaks. Which one y'all want to go?
Wood nickels.
Wooden
Wood
nickels.
nickels.
Or
Wooden
cotton seeds or
Oh
something.
no, let's not do cotton. We need to get
I like
away.
wood
Wood nickels. What y'all think about wood nickels? Because we talked about the wood nickels pretty heavily.
Yeah.
All right. So out of 10, how many wood nickels would you give this film? And then why? And so let's let our guests go first.
Which one's the
I would
guess?
give-
Fool,
I give
y'all
it
the
a 10
guests.
wood
This-
We always
no, you don't.
I give it a 10 wooden nickels because there's a lot of historical stuff in it that we didn't go over. A lot of things that he covered in this movie. The whole thing about how some black people could go for passing. He really went into that. He went into another name called slavery by another name with the chain gang and why they really made that connection. So he covered a lot of historical themes in this movie that I think that a lot of people are going to be chewing off of and being used as a discussion with younger people to really kind of bridge our past and our history together. So those are some things that the reason I gave it a 10 is because you can really
real
chew
quick.
off this movie like Lovecraft. It reminded me a lot of Lovecraft. It reminded me a lot of Dust to Dawn, and it reminded me a lot of Interview with a Vampire.
Hey, real quick, Dr. Carter. When you talk about them passing, are you talking about Mary?
Yes.
Mary, when she said her father had her father was half black, that fed right into the one black drop of black blood rule that they had back in the South. That if you had one drop of black blood, they considered you to be black in the South. And so
Right.
for her to say my mama daddy was half black, was to introduce that whole theme about the one drop of black blood. That yeah, I might look like a white woman and go for passing, but I am, according to this culture, a black woman.
Yeah, I bet
I
her
feel like
husband didn't know that.
everybody in there looked at her as a white woman though, not
Yeah,
a black
but
woman.
when
Because she was
brought it
passing.
out in the
Well, the white people
storyline
did.
about her lineage, that
Right.
I heard the
automatically
part.
lets
Yeah,
you know that she was a black woman that could go for passing, and that was a major thing in the South. Even in
I get
Martha's
that. Yeah,
white family,
yeah,
she
I
had
do.
family members
I
that
just
was
didn't
so
get her as a
light
black woman.
and look white, they went for passing, didn't even associate with their black family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Right,
thought she was a
right,
white woman the whole movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
All right. Who wants to go next? How many wood nickels out of 10?
I'll
Now let me get your
say
mama real quick. Your mama says a 9.5. And I like how she got the emoji stacked up there to try to give us the wood nickels. I love it.
that was
Go ahead,
cool.
Margot.
I will say I would also give it 10 wooden nickels because you can go as deep as you want in every single section that you see. You can go as deep in history as you want, as deep in African American mythology, as deep in Christianity, religion, as deep in time and space. I give it a 10 because I feel like it's just a big like pool that you can just go deeper and deeper if you want to. And I do want to say this because I've been seeing this online that a lot of like non like the black people have been saying, "Oh, it's overhyped, da 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 da. It's not that great. I don't get it." It's okay if there's a movie that's not for you. Like that's completely okay if there's a movie that other people think are amazing and you don't get the hype. That just might mean that it's not for you. Like it doesn't resonate with your culture, with your history, with your upbringing, and that's okay. Maybe it just means you might need to be quiet. And like, and you might not need to say anything if it doesn't do anything for you, but don't invalidate how other people are feeling and saying it's overhyped just because you have no ties to it historically or culturally. So that's why I give it a 10 for that reason.
Beautiful. I like that. Well said.
That's what you give it.
10.
10, yeah. We out there high too. For the same reason that Margot said. And it's the stuff that some of the stuff that Dr. Carter pointed out. We love a good period piece. I personally didn't know it was about vampires until Patrick told me via text. The initial preview I saw was at the beginning of a movie that we saw months ago, and I just thought it was more about prohibition and Ku Klux Klan and stuff like that. So I was pleasantly surprised because it did to me flip the script, kind of like Dr. Carter alluded to Dust from Dawn. I really like the way it started off with them just being brothers doing their thing, and then it just all of a sudden ramped up to vampire and gore. And so I got real Dust from Dawn vibes from it, and I enjoyed it.
I give it a 10. A 10. It was perfect to me. I wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing. No notes. Peter Griffin said, if you could pick a spinoff, what direction would you go, or should it stay the same? I mean, if it wasn't anybody like, if it wasn't Ryan Coogler, I would be like, well, it should just stay the same. But Ryan Coogler is very good at doing sequels. So yeah, I would say he should do a sequel because there's so many other things that he could touch on.
Would you go back or parallel in time? Where would you go?
I think maybe back in time, or I think it would be more interesting to go back in time.
Yeah, because I'm definitely interested to see why the Native Americans and how they seem like they were the ones that were burdened with the burden of trying to kill these vampires and why they were selected.
Right.
Out of a 10, huh?
You think he escaped from them? He just appeared on the screen by jumping. And, in daylight already.
Yeah, I think he was running from them. I think that they were literally hunting him, and he was running from them. But the thing I didn't quite understand was, I guess the sun was coming up. Maybe they were been hunting him, like I guess all night, and the sun was getting ready to. I guess maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, because they knew that man could fly and do all that other stuff and be fast.
Yeah,
I'm going inside too. Heck yeah, I'm gonna be like the Native American. Peace out.
Yeah,
it's
they was
time
like,
to go, brothers.
Yeah, they was like, it's time to go. It's about to be completely dark out here, and yeah. But I would give it a 10. This is one of the films that I've seen that I don't feel like anything could have been changed. And like I said, I felt like he gave us 5 movies in one, which is spectacular that he's that gifted and talented. And when I've watched the different podcasts that he's been on, like his marketing team has done amazing. He's done everything from the Breakfast Club to he's been on all the smoke and all the black media in between and other medias. when he breaks down just the film that he used and how this movie can be watched in like 10 different aspect ratios and all the attention to detail that this man put into this film.
Ryan Coogler is a real filmmaker.
Yeah, like he's like, so I think sometimes, a lot of times with like film, like modern film, is that it's not art anymore. And I hate to say that, you know, like it's just sequels, it's nothing new. It remakes. It's not, it lost the art form. And in one of his podcasts, he said, I want you to feel the art in this again and basically have a movie experience, because like a lot of stuff is just remakes. How many Jurassic Parks can we have? How many freaking, you know, Marvel movies, like all these different things. And this was a completely unique idea. I heard he financed some of it himself. And I felt like it was a great film. I give it a 10. And I think it's a film that, like you guys are saying, people can watch this in a psychology class and discuss it. People can watch this in a sociology and history class. Film schools will be showing this film, talking about this film. This man made a timeless film in some ways, and probably one of the best like horror type movies. And before we get off of here, who saw the trailer for the Jordan Peele new movie? Anybody saw it and want to give quick thoughts on what they thought about it before? Let me get a couple of these comments. Has anyone criticized it for being black trauma porn? I feel they would get the criticism leaving the movie. I haven't.
I haven't.
Well,
and I
I'm
didn't
trying to
see
what
that.
trauma was there.
We
didn't see the Klan kill nobody. We didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, people were picking cotton, but that's what I mean.
And that goes back to what I said about Delroy telling the story of the lynching. You didn't see it, you can hear it, but you didn't see it. So, and I think that was an important trade-off that he did instead of showing something.
Yeah.
Who saw? And then Peter said, good point. I see John Wick is coming back again somehow. It's just like in Blade. What's the white guy that's in Blade?
The
he
old
died
guy
like 30 times in Blade, and he keep coming back.
No explanation.
So what do y'all, did y'all see that Jordan Peele thing?
I didn't see it. I had to check it out.
Commercial until the two helmets hit and you saw those x-rays, and I was like, oh, there's the Jordan I know and love. I'm a huge Jordan fan. I love all his movies, everything he's done, so I can't wait.
The trailer.
Patrick, I didn't see this as a trauma movie. I saw it as an empowerment movie, because at the end, when he fought back against the clans, that is in, when you ever talk to black people today, they always say, if I was back there, this is what I would have done, you know, saying they would have fought against the Klan. But he actually materialized what black people articulate in this day and time of what they would have done in 1930, which is to fight back against the Klan. And I think that was a very empowering scene, to say that he didn't lay down, but he stood up and he didn't let not one of them get away. I felt there. I left the movie theater with my black fists in the sky.
It's funny that you did that, and then we got to probably get off because my computer's trying to die on me and all of this. That was one thing I heard a couple of little whisperings out there that people said they didn't like. That they didn't like that mass shooting of the one guy at the end where he had killed everybody, and then he shot that one Caucasian guy like 50 times when they were laying on the ground when he was dying. And then that was the one little tiny snippet that I heard some people felt like was overkill, but you know, great film.
What they didn't do was overkill. When I was watching it before that happened, I was like, why do all the black people die? All the black people got turned into vampires. All the black people died. The white people didn't die. That's what I was literally saying before that scene. I was like, so we did all this shit just for all of us to die again. And then he came out there with that trunk. And that's when I realized, oh, he a soldier. I just thought he was like, oh, I'm a soldier. Because I didn't know about that Vietnam stuff. I didn't know. Yeah. Like, I just thought Al Capone, okay, he a gangster soldier. No, when I saw that 1930 war hat, and that was, I was like, you better snipe them all down. Snipe them all down.
Yeah.
So that scene was for some and not for others, okay?
Right. Real quick, I like to say he made a big movie in a very small location. Like, you think about it, the whole movie was just in that juke joint, but you really feel like the town was there, and it was pretty cool.
And you were part of it. And then I guess the final thing, I got a question for our audience. We've been trying to figure out like what show like we were trying to finish Yellow Jackets and we didn't quite like the direction it was going. We probably should have did one last video, which we might do. And we've been considering doing something like watching Game of Thrones from the beginning or like House of the Dragon from the beginning as we wait for something else interesting to come. Any show recommendations? And then also, what do you guys think about the audience, us doing something like that where we start from the beginning of watching Game of Thrones as you know, as a group and like kind of just talking about it, or House of the Dragon or
What about
another
The
show?
Last of Us. Do y'all watch The Last of Us?
Yeah, they just released some new episodes.
Yeah. What about The Last of Us? It's
I've seen
like
the-
horror.
You watch it? You
horror.
watch it, Margot? You watch it?
Yeah, I've watched it. I played all 3 video games. I love The Last of Us. I
All
love
right,
it.
so I'll start
so
watching it
much.
because
Last
I
of
watched.
Us too. I watched last season and this season. Yeah.
There's some good psychological things going on there too. It's a really, really good show.
Okay, so
And
then
it's in our same genre of what we talk about.
okay, so I'll start. I watched some of first season, so I'll do my homework and start
Oh,
watching
you gotta
that. And
watch
catch
it.
it.
You gotta
Season
watch
2 just started, right? It just started.
Yep,
Yeah,
episode
it's about
2
a few
just
days
dropped. Boom.
Patrick still hasn't watched Lovecraft Country.
Oh my god, dude!
Oh,
Why are you trying to roast me about that, Candace?
No,
She
you gotta
already-
watch it, dude. You got to. Did y'all see Lady in the Yard?
I haven't.
Oh man, I saw it. Did y'all see it?
We saw it. Okay.
Oh man, that wasn't that movie. Did you like it, LA?
Well, I mean,
He did not.
What? The Institute by Stephen King when it comes out. Man,
that's MG. Isn't that on MGM? I saw that's coming out on MGM.
MGM.
uh-oh, look what Doc said. He said big no to The Last of Us. Oh man.
Oh gosh.
Oh my god!
Okay,
love The Last
No,
of Us.
nobody spoil it. But if you played the games,
It's
number 1, you knew it was coming, and number 2,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to get through, but you still got to go through it because the story is good.
it's
It's
good.
good.
It's good.
Because you know, The Last of Us is like Walking Dead meets World War Z.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that.
Okay.
You'll like it, Patrick.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do my homework and start watching it. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us. I really enjoyed talking about this movie with you guys. This might have been one of my favorite post-movie talks that I think we've ever had on the channel. So thank y'all so much for joining us and staying up late. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as we enjoyed talking about it. And audience, we want to thank y'all for tuning in. As always, we will catch you in our next video because our watch has ended. Peace.
Be great.